majors here? All right. I'm an English major. Making progress profitable, the story of change. We have lots of little sound bites, but pretty lousy graphic design. That's us. I'm gonna talk to you. I have 37 seconds in my presentation, so I'm gonna make this real short and sweet, and let's get on with the forum. Where do I come from? Well, where does change come from? Change was started 2 years ago because of Mr. Clean. I was responsible in my last gig at an ad agency. I've been creative director at Grey. I was Grey Canada's national creative director. I was a DDB, or Palmer Jarvis DDB creative director in Toronto and Vancouver. And my last big gig was resuscitating Mr. Clean. Mr. Clean, the old venerable brand, was about to go under. He was Shoeless Joe. And he was handled by Grey in New York. And they said, guys up in Toronto, you guys can handle Mr. Clean now. Well, we found out later that I think they were just sending him up north just to have the cat die under our doorstep so they wouldn't be held responsible. So we got Mr. Clean limping along, and in the space of 3 years, we resuscitated Mr. Clean, made him Procter & Gamble's worldwide turnaround success story of, 2002. Right, so big success story, lots of magic erasers, lots of car wash. And as one of the projects, one day they showed up at my desk and they said, Mark, we got 5 new flavors of Mr. Clean. We got spring, summer, fall, winter, and some stuff that we found out back that we got to get rid of, right? So Mark, you're an ad guy, make it work. And I went home to my wife and I said, does the world need 5 more flavors of floor cleaner? And of course, once you ask that question, you're dead, right? You're screwed in advertising because you realize that the world does not, in fact, need 5 more flavors of Mr. Clean. And I said, I'm dead because my whole life has been spent winning awards and making tons of money for clients based on things like this fabric softener now has a spout. Which of course invalidates every other fabric softener before it, right? I was so happy. I got to advertise this spout. $500,000 commercial, mind you, right? Spout. That was the question that launched change, because I said, if I'm dead, I'm just going to get apathetic, and then I'm going to get cynical, and then I'm going to get fired. And what a great footnote to my career, right? So I go to Canada, which is sort of, up north there somewhere anyway, and then you get fired from someplace that's just sort of up north there somewhere anyway. What a lousy footnote to a career. So I decided to give myself the bullet and start change, and now I'm master of my own disaster. What change is, we're a green brand strategy agency, and if you don't understand it, don't worry, nobody else does either. Ask my banker. Who we help? We help green brands, folks that are doing green, brands looking to become green, a larger number of those folks, and brands that think it would be wise to embrace green because their CEO tells them it would be wise to embrace green. The vast majority of people. As a matter of fact, what we've got, I was telling the other panelists, in the 2 years that I've had change, we've gone through an interesting progression from, we walk up to a client and we say, we're a green brand strategy agency, we blah, 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 bullshit, 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 and they go, that's very nice, good luck with that. And that was phase 1. Phase 2, which we're sort of in right now, they're going, oh my God, we need that. We need that so bad, my CEO is gonna fire me if I don't get that. But I don't have any money. And that's the phase that we're in right now, back to my banker. We're just entering a phase now. And this should be very, very encouraging to you as folks who are just going into the job force. We just had a few meetings in Toronto where they said, yes, we need what you got, and yes, we have a budget line item. So that means you're real. When you have a budget line item, you're a real company. What we do, we make progress profitable. And that, we don't talk about green so much. We talk about innovation, because I believe that green is just innovation dressed in new clothes. What's exciting about green is innovation, because innovation is young, it's hip, it's straight teeth, it's abs, That's where we want to be. It's a midlife crisis that I'm going through. Yes, it's true. So I'm going to talk to you I'm going to talk to you about one of the brands that we helped along the way, so you can see sort of the fumbling process that we go through on the way to launching successful brands. And to us, it's all about innovation, not risk management, right? Green in the past few years has been all about risk management, right? Exxon Valdez. You don't want another Exxon Valdez. You don't want you to get your butt kicked by legislators. You don't want the stakeholders to say you got to do it, right? You don't want protests. But now the smart companies are going, hey, if we innovate and we do this whole green innovation thing, we'll have something a lot cooler to talk about than 5 new flavors of floor cleaners, And that's where we want to fit in. So, product we launched, 1. Inside those boxes is wooden cutlery, and you want to talk about innovation. This wooden cutlery is laminated like water skis. It's strong enough that you can spear a carrot with a fork, you can cut a steak with a knife, and best of all, it's made out of birch and aspen. And birch and aspen is the wood that lumberjacks cut down and burn on their way to real wood, right? In BC, the real wood is spruce and fir, and that's what we do in BC. We cut down wood. Anyway, so we've got these vast tracts of this birch and aspen laying around, ready to get torched. And these 3 shop teachers, they say, we're going to turn this stuff into cutlery. And they made it into this beautiful wooden cutlery. Now, these 3 shop teachers live in a place called Lumbee, BC, which is 2 cows and a liquor store. And they originally called the stuff aspenware. And this is where I think the reason I was invited to this panel, in fact, the reason I'm inventing that I was invited to this panel, because I'm supposed to talk about packaging, but I like talking about this more. It's all about storytelling. And that's one thing we haven't talked about yet tonight. And if you're gonna make it work, it's gotta have a good story to it. So this is the story of how we turned wooden cutlery from 2 cows in a liquor store, Lumbee, into a great brand. So we started with building the foundation. In the magical words of Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. So we started off by brainstorming with the clients, and we sat for 2 days, and we went through everything. Their life history, the story of their the mother of the one inventor. Her name was Ma Gerlach, and that's German. And she was the one whose kitchen they first started pressing in a waffle iron their first prototypes of this wooden cutlery in, right? And the story is 3 shop teachers walked into a kitchen and changed the world. Thousands of prototypes, right? These guys are shop teachers, practical guys. Thousands of prototypes, pressing this stuff with different types of glue, blowing up ovens, blowing up waffle irons, singeing themselves. Their mother chasing them out. And these are 50-year-old men. Their mother chasing... I've got a picture of her. She's hilarious. She looks like Gert Boyle from Patagonia. Or what is North Face or whatever? Columbia. And her chasing them out into the kitchen of the other shop teacher, and where they finally innovated this product called aspenware. The story of aspenware, they call it aspenware, which to me sounds like turtlenecks that come from Colorado, and the investors that they came onto along the way, and the passion that came into it. This all came out in a brainstorming session. They're all scratching their heads going, why are you asking this? All we want to do is sell cutlery. We go, wait, you'll see in a while. Step 2, the story. That's why we collected it. 3 shop teachers walked into a kitchen and changed the world. It's super important. People want to hear stories. We call it sustainability storytelling. Because in a complicated world where you've only got so much bandwidth, I think you were talking about it, where complicated products, and when you have 3 garbage bins, that's 1 too many. Folks can't figure that out. What they love to have it put into a story. Black hat, white hat, the prince gets the princess, things like that. They love a story. It helps them digest why they're eating with wooden cutlery. Right? Think about it. The 3-second pitch. We live in an MTV, social media, flash type world where if you can't say it in 3 seconds, nobody will get it. What we always create, we create a 3-second pitch, a 30-second pitch, and then we say if it's any longer than that, then it becomes a conversation, which it should be anyway. So our 3-second pitch is an icon of hope. When I walk into a lecture that I'm giving or a conference that I'm giving, and I pull out one of these wooden forks, people go, ah! That's it. They get it, right? And you know you're onto a winner, right? It was funny. Nile Rodgers, the guitarist for Chic, who played with David Bowie, the way they used to concept test their songs was they just slap them into a dance club, and if they had people dancing within 15 seconds, they knew they had a good song. That's that. An icon of hope. If you can understand an icon of hope, you can understand wooden cutlery, and people don't need the sustainability story to buy it. They'll just buy it. They just want it. That's step 3. Are you ever taking notes? There's going to be a quiz. Step 4. Get the best designers working with you, even though the client is small and can't really afford it, so you beg and borrow and plead and say it'll be good karma and wouldn't be fun and green projects are really cool and don't you want to save the world anyway because we really need you and nobody will care if it's green if it isn't beautifully designed, and you get the point. What we found so far is that huge companies are not biting in a big way on green things. They need somebody to come along first. I always say everybody wants to be first to be second. However, we are so encouraged because designers, industrial designers, graphic designers are so keen on working on this stuff. In fact, we find folks in all the creative professions, if you are launching a product in your newfound career and you're looking for partners to advertise it, to brand it, to shoot the TV commercial, to display, to create rack displays, folks really want to do this stuff because it redeems their souls, right? Especially old guys like me. Next, leave name trademarking to the wrong people. Notice anything about that name?
Wow.
That's not the name that was the actual name. That's a $20,000 mistake. We started out with WOW because it had wood on wood, which was what it was, is laminated wood, right? It had a great story right in the name. If you can get a story in the name, man, you win. Of course, it was such a good name that somebody in Texas already had it. We found that out 5 months later when we had the boxes and we were ready to roll to Whole Foods, right? So, make friends with a good trademark lawyer. That's the lesson in that. Don't be like me. Look Italian. Potentially the most important thing that you can ever remember is to look Italian or German. Now, they think this is funny. We thought if we tell the people in New York and San Francisco that this product came from 3 shop teachers and 2 cows and 1 liquor store, Lumbee, BC, they would go, oh, that's nice. Anyways, why does it cost $9 again? But if we made it look like it was designed by Enzo Ferrari, people would go, oh, those Italians are so smart, I absolutely must have that. That's a lesson in psychology. So what we did, we actually wrote the brand story and wrapped it around the cutlery and stuck it into the boxes in 4 different languages, starting with Italian, then German, then French, and finally English. The funny part was, I'm not lying. I'm not making this up. The funny part is, at the bottom of that fortune cookie paper, it says proudly made in Canada, right? Who cares? Because you know it's Italian anyway. So there you go. Get in good company. I always believe that you start at the highest possible level and then discount it down. So instead of going straight to the hippie market, which is where they were, called Aspenware, right next to the incense sticks and patchouli, we went to Whole Foods and we said, yes, we are Italian. Yes, we want to come into Whole Foods. A great privilege for you, And so we got into Whole Foods. And I still don't think they caught on. And repeat. So that is essentially, in a really, really, really basic, primitive way, what we do. We build green brands. We help people who create great green design and help them lever that into a brand advantage. And the way we do it, we do storytelling. We help people buy into, using their imagination, the wonderful future that we're creating here. That's what we do at Change. Thank you very much.